Hello and welcome back to our nonprofit nerds, friends. It's been a day or two since we've joined you.
It has been.
It has been quite a while.
I know.
Right, it happens. For those who have not joined us before, I am Josh Hirsch. I'm the Director of Mission and Communication here at Susan G. Komen, Florida. And as always, my co-hostess with Moses, Julia Campbell, wearing her fabulous Fry-Yay.
Fry-Yay. Purchase for $1 at the dollar store. Probably going to turn my ears purple by the end of this.
Nice. But it's appropriate because it's a Friday.
Classy. I mean, it's Friday. It's the last day of January, which honestly feels like the longest month ever. And I don't know why that is. It also feels like it went by really fast, but it also feels like it's very long. So thank you for joining us today. We're so excited to have you here with us. We are the Nonprofit Social Media Nerds. We run the Nonprofit Social Media Storytelling Facebook group. We do a speaking tour. And where are we speaking? We're speaking at AFP Icon.
Yep. AFP Icon, we are doing a presentation together, Beyond the Hype, What Really Works in Social Media Fundraising and Digital Communications. Mm-hmm. Julia is doing a session with Rachel Muir. And who else are you doing?
Rachel Clemens.
Oh, Rachel, okay. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to be doing a Peeps U session where we'll be doing a little micro version of our session. And then I'm doing a Blame Josh's Top Social Media Tools of 2020.
Not just iOS tools.
Not just iOS. There'll be web-based.
For our Android people,
yes,
give us some tools too.
We'll give the Android people love. And then that same week, we are speaking at the North American Y Development Officers Conference.
Yeah, that's
in DC. Yeah, I'm really excited. And a whole new audience that we haven't spoken before at. We'll be sharing. Which one are we doing for that?
Email. That is building your email list, I think. I feel like we should know.
Yeah, email and social.
Something about social media, building your email list, digital marketing, the usual.
Okay. The usual.
That one's not open to the public, though. That's just for YMCAs and YMCA development offices. Then QGIve is next, or Planet Philanthropy is next. We don't know.
Well, they haven't finalized the education.
Right, they haven't finalized that. So fingers crossed, we'll be a Planet
Education Committee. I know.
Fingers crossed, we'll be at Planet Philanthropy. I know we will be in New York City. When's QGIve?
July
27th or 28th.
Yes.
And that'll be open to the public, I think.
I think so. I'm not sure who they have coming for that one.
You can tell we're very organized with our speaking.
But we're there. We'll show up. It'll be fabulous.
And then I'm planning the Nonprofit Social Media Summit for August. No dates and times 100% finalized yet, but we'll be there too. So a lot of opportunities to see us live in real life and say hi. What I wanted to do today was, first of all, congratulate Josh on a fantastically and wildly successful Komen, Florida, I'm going to get it wrong. Komen, South Florida Race for the Cure.
No, you got it right. So we are Susan G. Komen, Florida. We service 64 of 67 counties throughout this state, providing financial assistance, providing resources, providing programming for women and men battling breast cancer, as well as their co-survivors and those who are constantly battling the disease with metastatic breast cancer all throughout this state. But specifically, our 29th annual, it is the cornerstone of what we do here in South Florida. Our Race for the Cure, there's a 5K timed run. There's a 5K women's and men's walk, as well as a 1 mile run. Incredible event. Absolutely.
Yay. Jamie, just to answer your question very quickly, yes, this is recorded. After the live stream concludes, you can watch it immediately. It just boots for like 10 seconds and then you can watch it. And hi to Julia Becker Collins. She's a friend of mine. So thanks for tagging your friends. And then TikTok. Well, I know we're going to talk about Snapchat. I think we're going to talk about what social media can do in general to augment your event. And that leads me really to the first question, which is, I mean, I'm leaving it up to Josh mostly in this discussion because he's in the trenches. This is what he does every day. And they did just come off that really incredibly successful event. And what I noticed about the event was that there was a lot of engagement on social media channels because I follow, even though I'm in Boston, I love what Josh is doing at Komen, Florida, with Instagram stories, with Facebook Lives, with a lot of different tools that I think nonprofits are pretty reticent and maybe a little skeptical to use. And he just kind of jumps right in and just does his thing and uses them. And I just saw all of that great engagement. So I thought we would start out by talking a little bit about, Josh, how you use these tools at your disposal, how you use social media to create buzz before the event even starts and create community.
Absolutely. So first off, with any sort of event or any sort of campaign you're running, you need to have a plan and you need to work backwards. So our event was this past Saturday. What we do is we create a 16-week communications plan going from 12 weeks before the event and then 4 weeks after the event. So with us, the timing of our event is a little interesting because being the third week of January, 12 weeks out goes right into November 1st. So we roll from Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You've got everyone in the community, turning pink, talking about this. There's a lot of media stories. So by week 3 or 4 of October, we start to roll into our race communications. At that point, we have a slew of emails. I was putting together the final KPIs, our key performance indicators. We had something like 50 plus emails that went out through that time. And what's important to remember is that's not just a blanket email. We're segmenting our audiences and having segmented communication for those audiences. So we'll have specific recruitment emails going out to our LAPS participants. So we define LAPS participants as our past 3 years.
What do you use? You use Blackbaud, right?
Right. So we use a Blackbaud product. We use Luminate Online tied in with Convio for the team raiser. It is not the friendliest of products, but there's not one best tool for everyone. And you have to work with what you're given. So this is a tool that all the Komen affiliates are using, and we just kind of roll with it. So there's other tools out there I'd probably rather be using, but we got to make the best of our situation with what we have.
So what I love that you do before your events is you actually share Instagram stories and videos and photos when you're scouting locations.
Yep.
And then I love that you do that. Can you talk more about how that fits into your strategy? Because when I think of the nonprofits that I've worked with and the nonprofits that I've worked inside of when I've been a development director, we tend to look at the event a week out, right? We're like, oh my God, it's a week out. We got to start doing something. But you incorporate all of the planning into your social media. So talk to us about that.
Absolutely. So, we're a living, breathing engine. It's not just like, all right, let's show up January 25th and the event's going to happen.
Right.
I mean, we're literally 12 months planning out from the event. We just wrapped up last Saturday, and we've already started having our debriefing and our discussions for next year on, because you always want to improve upon your event. So it's fun. You don't want to just show, getting behind the scenes. People like to see that. They like to see, all right, well, this is where we're going to be next Saturday. Come on down and do the site walkthrough. Yeah, so we definitely did the Facebook Lives before that. We've incorporated that into our Instagram stories. We're a small organization. So for a statewide organization, there's like 5 of us full-time staff. We do outsource some of our public relations and things like that, but everything else is all internal. So we really need to maximize our time. So yes, there's thousands of channels that you could really be on there. So the way that we prioritize that is, we got to look at who our audience is and identify your target audience and know what channels they're going to be on. So yes, email is your blanket, website is your blanket. You're going to have a website, either that's event specific, or you're going to have a landing page on your site specifically for that event so people can register. The worst thing you could do is that if I took people to KomenFlorida.org and then they have to weed around through our website, try to find the event. So what I do is I create a custom URL. So KomenFlorida.org/race is a URL redirect that takes you to our Team Raiser site. So the race registration and the peer-to-peer functionality lives off of our main website. So I still want to keep that branding. I still want to keep that KomenFlorida.org so people know to go to that and just add on that URL redirect. On our website homepage, we have a couple rotating banners. So one of those will be for the race. And then we also have, a light box pop up throughout the season that will also redirect you to the race.
What I love, especially what you did before the event, is just taking people on a journey and showing them what's involved in planning an event of this scope. So you were on Instagram stories like a year ahead of time, like 6 months. You were showing the committee meetings. You were showing the talking to sponsors. You know, I feel like you took people on a journey with you so that they could get excited all year round, but they could really see that it's not just kind of put together in 2.5 seconds.
More than that. So what I think is unique, and I spoke about this a little bit on my Impactful Icon video I recorded the other day.
Yes.
What's unique
Which
about
I still have to record mine. Sorry.
Yes, you do. What's unique about our peer-to-peer campaign is we're not transactional. This is not transactional fundraising. This is fundraising with a mission and with a story. Because you look out upon the 15,000 people that were there, and everyone has a story of why they're there and why they're donating. They're not just showing up at a 5K because they want to run. Yes, we have a segment of runners that are in the running community, and
but they could do any run. They could do any run that they want. So why they're doing yours for a reason?
Right, they're doing ours for a reason, but the runners are just a small component. There aren't necessarily the fundraisers. The fundraisers are those who are out there doing the walk, which is a separate portion of the event. They're the ones that are really tied to the mission. So while we appreciate the runners coming out there, and we know they're doing it each year, they're not necessarily the ones that are tied to the mission or tied to this story. It's those other 14,000 people that are out at the event themselves that are raising the funds, that are sharing their own personal stories. So as you're talking about the pre-planning, through various events, we have a team captain breakfast kickoff. So at that, I bring my iPhone and I'm able to pop it onto a little tripod, a little lav mic, and capturing people's stories of why I race for the cure. That's really why people are tied to it. Because it's not a transactional experience. It's I'm raising these funds because I am either personally affected by breast cancer or have friends that have been affected by breast cancer or whatever cause. But that's what makes us unique.
Exactly.
Also, this content doesn't have to be highly produced.
Right.
What we're sharing, yes, I'll drop some lower thirds. I'll do a little, title bumper graphic at the end, to do that call to action. But it doesn't have to be this high production value is not necessary. Authentic is what people want to see. Yep. And using your smartphone, this camera is better than most that are out there right now.
Exactly. Well, it's like what Steph is saying about TikTok. The rise of these ephemeral social media apps is based on the fact that we're tired of seeing commercials and advertising, and we're tired of seeing pre-produced, like crazy edited that cost $10 million, like Super Bowl ads. We're kind of tired of that. We want that human connection. We want that vulnerability that comes with shooting something and feeling like it's not going to be perfect, but we're still going to put it out there. So, all right. Well, that brings me to the second piece, which is now you have created a little bit of buzz before the event as one person. Now, I think it's important for people to understand that Josh is the one person. Like, you have maybe some ambassadors or some board members or, other people. You are the paid staff member that is in charge of the event, the fundraising, the marketing, all of it. So how do you, during the event, get people to share and get people to post and get people to engage?
Right. So I'm not the only one. We are a team, so I'm not solely responsible.
I know you love to say you're a team, but it's not like you have 7 staff members under you.
No, absolutely not.
Right.
But, we have a director of development. We have a special events coordinator. We all have our role to play in the event. But, my focus is tying the mission of why you're there and using the communication tools to drive that. So you're going to want to attend. So you're going to want to raise the funds and be a part of it. So as you were saying, the day of, so creating those social activations. And let me get this shared up
and
here.
I love the word social activation. So if someone doesn't know what that means, what does that mean?
Right. So social activation is something that you're going to want to take a picture and share it on social. Something, whether that is permanent in a location or it's wandering throughout the event. So, for example, I'll share this on the screen now.
The wings. Oh, I love wings.
Yes, the wings.
Who can resist wings? No.
Everyone is loving the angel wings or whatever. So we had this, one of the local artists created this great piece, for free. And it was probably like 8 feet by 10. It was massive, a massive backdrop. And we had that right by the stage. And up there, people went, and just as you see, there was no like sign saying, "Hey, come do this." Hey, come
nope. It was picture. Just everybody. You knew everybody would want to do it.
Exactly.
I mean, they're wings. You got to take a photo.
So people knew that they wanted to come and share and take their picture. Obviously, the hashtag we have for the event is #RaceForTheCure. That's just something that's
easy.
Yeah, I mean, something that's tied to the event, and that's something that you want to think about when you're creating an event hashtag. Don't try to think outside the box. Don't. It's like, all right, I shouldn't have to think about what your event hashtag is. It should just be naturally flowing.
Yeah.
Which would make sense. But at the same time, you want to pre-promote your hashtag on your communications, so that way when people are at the event, when they are taking their picture in front of the wings, that they know what to share. At the same time, we had sponsors who created social activations. So Sylvester has been a long-time sponsor, and they had this campaign in pursuit of your cure. So they go to these different events. Obviously, ours is being breast cancer. So you see this was a really cool like neon sign. The day before, they created this.
Wow, I love that. That's like an Instagram
completely
area.
I love it. It was a fake green wall of grass. They had the pink carpeting. There's a pink pergola they built, and then that's a neon sign in the background. So that was a really cool social activation. Not only were they using the hashtag #RaceForTheCure, but then they were encouraging people to share on their social channels and tagging them too. Another social activation, because once again, tying it to the mission. So we have our survivor tent, and we had a big giant banner that was 10 feet by 4 feet. And
I love this because I did not interrupt you, but I think that small nonprofits could easily do this. Like, we spend so much money on events and tents and tabling. You could easily just do, and actually I was just at I promise this relates to something. I just saw Wicked on Broadway, and they have a whole wall where you can write on a Post-it note and say, "What have you done for good?" Because the whole thing is anyway, whatever. If you love Wicked, you know what I'm talking about. But there's a whole thing where you write on Post-it notes. And I was thinking anybody could do that. Like, literally any organization could just have a Post-it note wall or a dry erase board wall or something at the event, like you're saying, where they can interact and they can take a photo and it means something personally to them. So keep going.
Yep. So like Chris, our friend Chris Strub, who's speaking at Social Media World out in San Diego 2020. He's amazing.
Hey, Chris Strub.
Hey, Chris Strub. He had a question saying, did you have a holdable hashtag sign there too? So this little sign that this woman is holding and that they're all hanging up on there, one side is in celebration of and one side is in memory of. So we're honoring those who are continuing the battle and those who we've unfortunately lost to that battle. We do not necessarily have someone walking around holding that song. And Chris, you haven't missed the Snapchat filter breakdown. We will talk about that in a few. We have part of our Mission Village activation is something called the I Am Komen tent. So that is in our Mission Villages where all of our grantees are able to highlight the work that they're doing in the community. Because there is still that misconception. And even today, I was getting phone calls, I have a coworker who has no insurance. Doctor says they need a mammogram. Can they schedule their appointment with you? And I say, well, we're certainly here to help. We're the conduit to care, but we don't do that sort of direct service.
You are located in a hospital, to be
fair. Are located, yes.
So I understand the confusion.
Yes. We are located in the hospital, but we don't have those direct services. So, it's educating those people. And at that I Am Komen table activation, we have our breast health navigators who are giving, trivia questions. How many women, will be diagnosed in their lifetime? How many men? Because we always have to remember, men are susceptible to breast cancer too. Breast cancer is not just a women's disease. So, right. So at that activation, we have they answer the question, and then there's little signs that say, I am Komen. We also have, and I don't think I have one of those pictures queued up. We have our donation dinos. The donation dinos wander.
Oh, those are the inflatable dinosaurs. Yep. You told me about.
Giant 8-foot tall, and actually, that's what behind me here. Those are.
Oh, yay! And they're pink.
They're paying Kimberly to turn my camera a little.
Awesome.
So the donation dinos wander around the race course, and they encourage you to help make breast cancer extinct. On one side, it says "I help make breast cancer extinct," and it has the hashtag of the event. And people once again share that on social. So they were creating that social activation. Another really cool social activation. And here's my geek out hat. We had members of the Florida garrison of the 501st Legion.
Oh my God.
So for those who are nerds like me,
Kylo Ren.
The 501st Legion are a bunch of Star Wars cosplayers, and they were actually, so once again,
That's my life goal. That's my life goal for later.
Deeper nerd. Some of the members of the 501st Legion were using the Mandalorian as extras, but that's besides the point.
Oh my! Was there Baby Yoda?
No, it wasn't Baby Yoda. And it's the child. It's not Baby Yoda. Let's get that term correct.
Well, it's not Baby Yoda, but we don't know what to call it. Anyway.
The child. We call him or her the child. Anyways, so the Everglades squad of the Florida garrison just showed up to the event. We didn't know that they were going to be there. They have been at the event in the past. But as you see, they're decked out in pink. They've got their,
that's amazing.
But they had the pink sashes. And then here's another one that we had. Let's hide this one. So, here they are all throughout the event. There was probably in total about a dozen or so of these cosplay characters there. And it was a natural or
social media event,
activation. So these people just chose to do it. Let's see. Jules has a question. Events like yours that happen yearly, do you leverage previous event content or do you design new each year? Good question. So let me share and let's see if this will work.
Well, one thing I wanted to say is that I loved two things that you said I wanted to pull out and highlight. One is that you clearly have your core pillars of content that you want to highlight during the race. And one is the mission, obviously. The second is myths and misconceptions. And this is so important. And I think for a lot of organizations, doing something like you did, where you have a table, you have a tent, where you're actually talking about, you know what, men get breast cancer too. You're talking about this is what we do in the community. We don't provide direct medical services, but this is what we do. Because I think a lot of organizations have those myths and misconceptions that could not easily be addressed, but that could be addressed at events. So having those core messages highlighted in the beginning, like this is what we want to get across, and only having maybe two or three that you want to get across, because obviously if you have 20 messages, nothing is going to stick. But I love that because it seems very, very focused, and it's hard to measure. We were talking about this before. It's hard to measure return on investment for something like that. But if it's a piece of your mission that you want to help create awareness around something, then I don't think it's wasted time.
So right now,
I love it.
So right now I'm sharing our Facebook page, and hopefully everyone can see it and isn't having issues hearing us. One of the most, because once again, for me, the event is, yes, we're raising funds, but trying it back to the mission. So this is our Survivor and Forever Fighter Warrior ceremony. Those are for those individuals who are...
Wait, I don't see it. I can't see it.
Are you seeing my Facebook page, maybe?
Oh, maybe other people are seeing it.
Okay,
I don't know. Let me go on my phone. It's okay. Keep going.
Right. So this was a Facebook Live I shot. Because that's something important also to remember. So I had all this content lined up and scheduled for 3 months out, between our almost every other day emails and our daily social posts. And even so, all best practices of social, I threw out the window when it comes to race. The only post once a day or post, at these certain times a day, I threw all the rules out. And I was only posting 4 or 5 times a day because we had everyone's saying they can't see it. So
they can't see it.
All right, I'm sorry. We'll share that later. And
let's put the link in the link in the comments. Is it a Facebook Live that you did?
Facebook Live, yeah, exactly. So I apologize for everyone that can't see it, but we'll share that later. So I do all the scheduling of content leading up to it, and day of, I don't do any content creation.
I love this.
Right. So
you just retweet, reshare what other people do.
Exactly. So I had about 3 or 4 Facebook Lives the day of. We did one at about 6:15 in the morning with our executive director in the I Am Komen tent.
But you planned these. These
Oh,
were
completely planned. So
Yeah.
we had a run of show, like our soft schedule that we worked with internally. We had our media hits with our media partners on site doing our live, from the WPTV, which is our local NBC affiliate. But at the same time, I had my social hits that I wanted to do. So we had one in the morning with our executive director welcoming everyone down. This is the site. This is, going to be a great weather day. And we've got all these things to look forward to. Then a little later in the morning, I did one with one of our sponsors, which is, key because you obviously want to thank your sponsors before, during, and after the event. So we did a Facebook Live with one of our board members, and it was great. So before we went on the Facebook Live, we did a quick run through. I said, all right, Jason, you're going to welcome us in. You're going to thank Ford, South Florida Ford. Ford is then going to, the representative is going to say a few things, and then we're going to come back to Jason to close it out with the mission. So he was reinforcing why we're there, where the dollars are going, and how you all can support. So we did that Facebook Live. I did another Facebook Live as the race went off, so as the runners were going. Because once again, as you were saying, behind the scenes, people want to see it. And if you can't be there, you want to be able to feel it and experience it. Did one during
People love that. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I remember reading the comments. People said, thank you so much for filming this. I couldn't be here. My aunt is running, or, my friend is running. I'm in Oklahoma. I couldn't be here, but thank you for filming it live. So people really responded to that.
Yeah, I had exactly that comment. So someone wrote, and this was in reference to the Warrior ceremony, that Forever Fighter Survivor ceremony. Thank you for live streaming the celebratory part of your event. I wasn't able to make it there today, but I'm so happy to watch my beautiful sister and nieces walk onto that stage with all of those amazing warriors, and sure, watching from Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah.
So using Facebook Live, I was able to bring others in from around the country to experience our event. And they had a personal a personal connection to the cause. Her sister and her nieces are, whether, survivors themselves are currently battling, they had a reason to tune in. So that was really, really important to me to be able to see that. So someone has asked.
Well, we've got so many questions. I love it.
It's great. We're going beyond the 30 minutes today.
We will talk about TikTok. We'll probably talk about it at the end, because I don't think you specifically had it as like an activation, but it definitely is something that you can leverage during events. So we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that. Now let's get back to Chris's question regarding Snapchat. As I said before, you have to know where your audience is and know how to use that tool best for that audience. So we focus mainly our content strategy on Facebook, because we know that's where our people are. We share Instagram on there, and Twitter. Those are our main platforms that we share content on. And each one is different. A lot of our advocacy related work, we focus on Twitter, because that's where we can have direct conversations with those senators and legislators who are supporting our bills and encouraging them to support the bills that we're involved with. But when it comes to Snapchat and TikTok,
it's just fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Yes, absolutely.
I know you like data. You like return on investment. It's fun.
But it's not even that. It's what is my capacity to be able to.
Oh, your capacity. That's true. Your own. Yeah. You as the one person managing all these channels.
Right. So yes, I use tools to schedule my content. I plan out 30 to 60 days out when it comes to content and things like that. But I can't be everywhere for everyone. So when it comes to TikTok, I'm just not there yet.
Yeah.
And maybe I never will be, either personally or from an organization standpoint for social. But it can work for some. From my understanding, TikTok is very much like Vine, or what Vine used to be. For those that don't remember, Vine was a Twitter type. Right, it was like a Twitter type social platform that you could 6 second
videos.
6 second videos. And now a new platform came out by the makers of Vine called Byte. And
that's trying to eat TikTok's lunch, but I don't think it will.
Right. So it's not for me. But Snapchat, I get. So Snapchat is very much geared towards a younger demographic, those tween, high school type college age kids. And as part of our event, we have a junior race for the Cure chair. So this junior chair is a high school student, usually junior or senior, and they have a personal connection to the cause, whether they have a family member or just, a close friend. This past year, and this is the second year we've had a junior race for the Cure chair, both have had parents who are either previvors. Previvor is someone who has the genetic disposition to have breast cancer because it runs in their family and they've been genetically tested. And then this year's junior chair, he's a senior in high school and his mom is currently battling breast cancer and she serves on a board. So, I know that these kids, and I'll say kids because they're 17 years old, communicate differently than we do on social. Mm-hmm. And we know Snapchat is big for them. So I was asked by one of our board members and I was encouraged to create a Snapchat filter. And I've never done that before. So I did a little.
And it's free, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Oh, for some reason I thought a geo filter was free.
Nope. So
okay.
What we went, we created a specific Snapchat event, and we specific Snapchat account specifically just for Komen, Florida. I went then on the web-based platform of Snapchat, logged in, and it's really step by step. So first things first is you create your artwork. And I asked our junior chairs, and I asked because they're the ones using it, I said, when you use a Snapchat filter, what are you looking for? What do you want?
I think that's absolutely key. Why don't we ask people that actually are using it how they use it? I love that. So you didn't just say, well, this is how I would use it. Exactly. You didn't say like, this is what I want. You asked them. I love it.
So I said, from a branding perspective, so all right, we're going to put our logo. So we put the Komen South Florida Race for the Cure logo on there. I said, do you want it in reverse, meaning white type or black type? And then also positioning on the screen itself where it would be best. So we came up with
I love that.
In the bottom right corner, and that's where we put it. And as far as usage, so you first take your artwork, and then you have to actually do a geo tag of where you're going to have your.
You just specify the location where you want it used. Yeah,
exactly. So I drew the fence of where it was going to be, and I want to find the post that I shared.
What I think is so cool about this is that we were just talking about this earlier. I think that in the beginning of the social media era, nonprofits jumped on board and they were just kind of doing whatever and they weren't measuring it. So then there was a backlash to that, which said everything has to be measured. Everything has to be clickable. Everything has to tie to a conversion. Everything has to tie to a clickable link or whatever. Then now we're almost going back where it's like, no, why not everything has a clickable link donation conversion. But the thing about a Snapchat filter or the thing about having a TikTok account and being active on TikTok is that's where people are. And that's what they're talking about. So I could say to my sister, who uses Snapchat actively, I'd be like, oh, I saw you were at this walk. That is so cool. Like, tell me more about it. But that can't be tracked via clickable link. Right. So I think that we get so hung up on metrics, not saying we shouldn't be, but I'm also saying that we should be doing what Josh is doing and implementing new and different and interesting tools into our toolbox, just because I think the raising awareness factor is huge.
Yep. So with that filter, we set it from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. We drew our geofence tag around the site itself and up through the race course. It cost us $153.25.
Not bad.
So what's nice is after the fact, and I made sure I had one of I had last year's junior chair check to make sure actually at 5 o'clock in the morning that the filter was active. She showed me, yes, it was. So we had 479 swipes. And once again, the metrics really don't mean anything.
The metrics are terrible. Right.
404 uses of it. There were.
Oh my God, that's amazing!
I think it's pretty good. Of those 404 uses, there were 23,500 views of the filter of the Snapchat filter. And then 84.3% usage. So to me, that means if you swiped across and saw it, then you had an 84% chance of using it.
4% of the people that swiped through Snapchat to look for a frame
or came across a frame. Yeah.
I mean, those are the metrics. That is amazing. So
to Dave, awesome. And Dave Tinker brought up the point in our group in which, if you're not a member of our group, nonprofitsocialmedianerds.com, check it out. It's a fabulous group. We're almost 8,500 people in there now. But he asked, what is the value? What is that metric value that he can take to his board? And Julia, you made a great point. It doesn't always have to have a value. Sometimes social media.
You just laid out the value, though. I feel like you did a pretty good job of laying it out, but it doesn't translate to dollars.
Right, exactly. But
necessarily.
Right. But it was fun. The kids like to use it, or whomever used
400 people used it. 23,000 views. I think that's your data right there.
Good. For 100.
There you go.
Investment. So, from a brand awareness and that sort of standpoint, it was great.
Yep. But it's crazy because the board is always like, well, we should get more media coverage. Well, what's the ROI of that? Can you click on the newspaper and make a donation? No, I know it has it, but it's the same kind of thing. It's more like brand awareness and getting people excited, and it doesn't necessarily have a linear track. Someone saw the article, someone clicked on this. You know what I mean? So I see it like raising visibility and reaching a new audience, which is what we all want to do.
Absolutely. Now, to your point about what is that valuation of media, so we use a service called TV Eyes. It's a service that we do pay for because I need to be able to go back to my sponsors after a race season.
Oh, the sponsors. Yeah, they love that stuff. Yeah.
So I can say, all right, well, we had this many media hits valued, and then I pulled it the other day. We're almost just under about 400,000 in like media value of that 30-second spot that ran of that news story during our race season was equated to this much viewership. Yep. It's awesome. Let's go through some questions.
Let's go through some questions because we're going to end up being like an hour and a half at this point. We got a lot to talk about. Maybe we do part two. We'll do part two.
So we have a question from Matthew Seiden. Post-event, how do you tap into user-generated content, UGC? So as I was saying before, day of, I do very little social media content. I go completely into social media listening mode. So what do I do for that? I create a Hootsuite dashboard. And in that Hootsuite dashboard, I have our event hashtag in Twitter as well as Instagram, because I know those are the main two platforms you're going to watch from that perspective. I then also have a @mention, so anyone who's mentioning us. I then also have anyone who's hashtagging breast cancer, who's adding our parent corporation, Komen, Susan G. Komen itself. And then I'm also tapping into corporate hashtags. So one of our major sponsors is Office Depot. They use a hashtag called Depot Difference. Mm-hmm. And I know that, people might be using that day. So that's part of my dashboard as well. So I'm constantly listening throughout the day. So I can be liking these posts. I can be retweeting these posts. But more importantly, I can be thanking them and for sharing. So because once again, I'm that nerd and I'm tying into all of our insights. We run some social ads leading up to the event. Anytime someone engaged with my social ad that didn't currently like our page, I was inviting them to like our page. At the same time, too, if they were sharing that social ad or if they were commenting on that social ad, I was liking that comment. I was thanking them for liking it and sharing that content as well. Because people just want to feel grateful, that they were acknowledged. So, for example, today, completely unrelated social, a friend of mine posted a picture of himself and WWE star Titus O'Neil, Thaddeus Fuller. He's
don't tell me. It's fine.
Well, it's beside he's very philanthropic.
He's a celebrity that I don't know.
He's philanthropic and tied into the Tampa community, but more so, he's a Gator. He went to the University of Florida, so I saw him post that. I commented, "Go Gators," and Thaddeus Bullard, who's liked my comment. So I felt awesome because here's this guy liking my comment. So it's the same thing. We all have that vanity that wow.
That was when Letters to Cleo reshared my Instagram story about them. It was the pinnacle of my life.
You feel awesome when things like that happen.
When you get acknowledged I love that example.
Next question, and we'll go back to Matthew, and then we'll get over to some of the other questions. He says, "What makes you decide post something to stories versus regular old Insta?" So
I don't even see these questions, but all right, that's a good one.
What I use our Instagram stories for is that social listening. So anytime someone was tagging Komen, Florida, anytime someone was using the hashtag Race for the Cure, I was adding that to our Insta story. I did not have the time that day to create an Instagram story myself. So I was using that social listening to then tie back in. Worked out really well. And I still have hundreds of more posts that I need to add to that social add to that social story as well. At the same time, I was sharing that social story from Insta to our Facebook story. So then it was also tied back in, and people, once again, you might use Insta and not Facebook, and then you can still see that content on Facebook.
Yeah. I see Insta stories as building buzz in the moment, and I see the Instagram feed as your best content, your best photos that are going to get the most likes. So the way Instagram works now is that without the chronological feed, it's not chronological. I could see a post from Komen, Florida 5 days after the race. So they're not going to use Instagram to say, come down to the race today necessarily, but they would use Instagram stories to do that because Instagram stories are much more in the moment. And the feed is probably like more of a recollection of a collection of the best stories of the day. That's just how I would personally use it.
Jewel, and we touched on this a little earlier. Jewel has had a question. Events like ours that happen yearly, do you leverage previous event content? So yes, that's what I was trying to allude to before. We are sharing content from last year. So I haven't even posted any of our photos from our photographers yet. We have about 4 or 5 official photographers who are on the event site, and they're assigned to different areas. Some are assigned to the race portion, some are assigned to the walk. But we have them strategically placed based upon their talents and their skills. I haven't shared any of those posts yet. I'll be sharing those pictures for the next year.
Yep.
All of our communications, email-wise, everything like that, we'll use pictures from this year's event to promote next year's event.
Yep, that's smart.
Yeah, so
because you don't have any content from the next year's event.
Right.
So you want to use the current year. I love the idea of using an event to stock up. Really, what you're doing is stocking up on stories, on videos, on content that you can then use throughout the year. You can use all of those survivor stories or those Why I Walk stories throughout the year. I mean, they're relevant throughout the year. So I love the idea of using the event as to kind of stock up.
Exactly. So at one of our kickoff parties we had at the local zoo here, set up my tripod, had my camera, and I just have started building this library of content. I've shared very little. I did some in-depth interviews sitting down with our warriors to hear their story, not only why they raced, but more so their breast cancer journey. How did they tell their kids? We had the one about the mom who drove to her daughter in Gainesville and took her out to Krispy Kreme and sat down, and that's how she told her over a donut. And the daughter's like, I can never eat a Krispy Kreme donut again. But like hearing these personal stories is why people are connected. So to Steph's question, what would I recommend for a menstrual health awareness event as compared to ours? It's tying
same stuff.
It's tying it back to the mission. It's why are people involved? The sort of events we're talking about are not transactional. They are mission-based, story-based. There are certainly those events that you go to. They're like, all right, I want to go to this, gala event because I've never been to this venue before. I'm really excited. Or
it's like cool, all the celebrities are going, or like it's a big badge of honor to go, right?
All right, so let's just reset.
But just for Steph's event, I don't know if you're talking about Steph, that menstrual health has some kind of stigma to it, because personally I don't think so, but I might be in the minority. But I think if you got to go back to those core pillars. So I want to refer to that over and over again. What they were doing at this event, they obviously were raising money, but it was a place for community. It was a place for people to connect and talk to people that were going through similar things. And it was like a safe space. It was just a community of people that were coming together and talking about how their mother had breast cancer, or how their sister had breast cancer, or how they had breast cancer. And then there was that other core pillar of knocking down myths and misconceptions about breast cancer and about what Susan G. Komen does. So I think as long as you have those core pillars and you're very focused on the core pillars and community building being the number one, then I think that this framework translates well for any event.
Absolutely. You hit it on the number. Hit it on the head. So let's just go read through a couple more of these comments. Jules wrote, so happy with your response. I had planned posts leading up to our giving day and day of doing multiple Facebook Live.
Chris Strub could talk to that.
Chris Strub is the best. I do a giving day with my dog for the animal rescue, and everyone loves to see the dogs live because it cannot be scripted.
Well, people can't be scripted either necessarily. Dogs and children.
But
always good.
It's that unauthorized access. It's being able to see behind the scenes of somewhere that we would normally not be able to get in. That's really on point. Yep. Brianna asks, can I share what products, mic, tripod for the iPhone I use, and is there an app or program that you use quickly to create the lower third text on video from your phone?
Oh, this is like Josh's dream question.
So there's a couple tools. Love the DJI Osmo Mobile 3. They just came out with the pocket version that is like a simple little case. I think I have it here somewhere. Maybe not. It's somewhere. But it fits in your pocket. It's a gimbal tripod simulation to get those really nice pans. A smooth film look. That's what I use specifically for the Facebook Lives that I shot on stage. But more important than that is audio. Audio is key. So I use a couple different mics. iRig is a great company. They make Lightning specific. Lightning being, this is iPhone stuff.
It's okay. He asked about iPhone stuff.
I know.
But for us Android users, there's stuff.
They make versions. iRig Lav mic, which plugs directly into the Lightning port. It's a little lav mic. It's great. I also have the iRig HD2 handheld mic version, which is really also nice for that. Tripods, anything that's convenient. I have got a backpack portable one. I also sometimes just even use like a lighting pole that I can then
you need to make a list, make a PDF.
Chris Strub has.
Go to just Chris. We give you full permission if you're still watching. Put your link to everything that you use, and if you don't, I will put the link to all of the stuff that you use to do live streams. Because he has an entire list on his website and
on Amazon, ready to go for what you need to purchase. As far as the software, so I'm a little more high tech. I'll use stuff on my Mac. I'll use Final Cut Pro to do it. There are some apps that you could do it on your phone, iMovie, things like that. But I'm more of I want to get a little more produced version. Yes, I said that low production value is fine. It's just I like to use some higher end tools to create still even that low production value effect. So Sarah wrote, so in conclusion, Snapchat was good investment with careful planning. Yes, once again, but it's knowing your audience, it's knowing what message you're trying to put out there, and knowing how you're using that platform for your intended purposes.
I love the idea of talking to the people that you intend to build it for. Imagine that, and asking them, wow, like if we put the logo in the right-hand side, would that be better? If we do more text, if we do more this. Absolutely love that idea. So talk to some kids.
So Suchita, and I apologize if I pronounced your name wrong, had a question. Do you provide any social media toolkit to participants? If so, what do you recommend should be included? So we have a ambassadors program, our social media ambassadors, KomenFlorida.org/creative brief. There might be a hyphen between creative and brief, is a completely toolkit, as you said, that has the key mission points. So when you're talking about the event on social, you can tie it back to the mission. It's not, we're just here to throw a big party and hang out in downtown West Palm Beach, but it's, because 1 in 8 women and 1 in 833 men are diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. It has links. It has, sample posts. It's all right there. So I can hand it to you and say, here you go. You're all good to go. You don't need anything else. You are now a social media ambassador. And we specifically targeted. So we worked with some mommy bloggers, who are tied in to that community because, once again, user-generated content is much more powerful than content I put out because if it's user-generated content, that means that is
approved.
Exactly. It's approved by your friend. So if I see my friend post something, I take more value in that than I do if I see a brand post it.
Yep.
So being able to tap into these mommy bloggers or these lifestyle bloggers or just that, segment altogether and say, hey, listen, we identify what you're doing is awesome. And we would love it if you would be a social media brand ambassador for Komen Florida and in the Race for the Cure. Here's your, everything you need to go and you should be set. Matthew just asked, what was that link? Matthew, we're going to put all the links to the things that we're talking about. I'll put links to our Facebook page, the Facebook Lives, Chris Strub's recommended tools, as well as a link to that creative brief.
Yeah, we got to wrap it up, but we'll put some links in there. We'll get some links. Now, Sarah, in terms of Puerto Rico, what I was going to say is, first of all, I think it's absolutely horrible what's going on there. A really close friend who lives there and has been updating me. But I think it's an opportunity to really enlighten people through live video, through video on the ground, and through Facebook fundraisers. So that's what I was telling my friend who lives in Puerto Rico. She's like, why is no one talking about it? Why is it not in the news? Well, it's all impeachment garbage all over the news. So it's going to be very hard to cut through that clutter. But I think if there was a mobilized effort on the ground, like I'm thinking of Hurricane Harvey or Hurricane Harvey was Houston, right? Forgive my complete ignorance. But everyone was taking video and it couldn't be ignored anymore because people were like everybody from everywhere was all over all of the feeds. And that's where the authentic video comes into play. Whereas if it's just CNN or it's just a news organization covering it, it's not going to be as powerful as if it's people on the ground actually saying, this is really what's going on. This is unfiltered. I'm not a journalist. This is my backyard. And then compelling people to help. And to be honest, I really think that is the huge power of social media, is that we're all connected now and everybody's in our backyard. And we can't ignore a lot of the things that are happening in our own backyard now. So I think leveraging social media kind of ties back into what we talked about today, leveraging the power of social media to shed light on these issues that might not get the light shedded on them.
The also point that you made there about, what is in the news cycle. Mm. So our event wrapped up on Saturday. We were done at 11. I already have once again, planning ahead, I had a custom Facebook thank you post ready to go with our graphic. I had a new Facebook cover that I changed, and I was planning on waiting until Sunday to change that, to calm down a little from the event and be able to listen some more. And all of a sudden we heard this tragic news of Kobe and the others that were on that helicopter that passed away in a tragic accident. So I said, wait a minute, I need to hold off. Mm-hmm. I can't post my social content thank you message right now at 1:30 in the afternoon as I was planning to do, and because the entire social feed on Sunday was Kobe news, and
it would have looked automated. It would have looked like you automated it, and it would have been literally like Kobe, 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 Kobe. Kobe, Florida, Kobe.
Ad, like a, as you said, a bot program, and that wasn't the case.
And that's such a fine line to walk, and I can't answer the question of when and where and 24 hours after or whatever. But it's just so important is that listening and understanding that, okay, this is not the right time to post this. I can wait 24 hours. It's going to be fine. I think that's a great point that you just made.
Yeah, so we held off. We waited till later that evening. Yes, it was still very much flooded, but we knew that we needed to still thank and acknowledge those people. So, someone asked earlier about how are you using last year's content. Well, I took a picture that happened that day. That was one of our early selects from one of our photographers. I used that as my thank you picture. In my thank you cover photo, I used a photo from last year's event, and because I had that ready to go. And was cognizant. So I waited a good 6 or 7 hours after I was intending to post it till the news cycle died down a little. And that was, no pun intended, that was really bad wording. But then shared it then.
Well, I know what you mean. Calm down a little bit.
Calm down. And then we shared it then, and we still got some good engagement on the post. And now going back to that user-generated content. So I've been listening nonstop on Facebook of either people that I'm friends with or friends of friends that have been using the hashtag, but more so also our corporate our sponsors that were posting that day. So I've been taking all those social posts, saving them, and what's nice is you can save things to a collection, and then I will be resharing those posts, thanking them for attending, thanking them. So for example, we had the NBC local affiliate as our major media partner. They were doing they were doing live shots that morning of various people and interviews. So I saw the reporter posted something on Facebook about it. Because I was listening, I then liked their post. I then thanked them for being there on site and said, what a great job you did. Look forward to seeing you at next year's event. And then they went back and then they engaged with my post. I
love that.
So listening. As much awesome content as we want to create, listening to the people out there and then reshare that user-generated content.
Well, I have like 20 more questions, but I think we need to do part 2.
Sure.
Because we didn't even really talk. You talked a little bit about after the event.
Yeah.
But I have a million questions that we could get to. So I think we definitely need to do a part 2 about social listening.
Yeah.
Getting buy-in, coordinating a team, managing all the moving pieces, like productivity, that kind of stuff that we didn't necessarily get to today. And clearly a session on TikTok is needed, which I have TikTok on my phone. I mean, I'm old. So like, what can I say? I have it. Oh, I have it on my phone. Now, my daughter doesn't have a phone. She's only 10. But one of her friends said, your mom is on TikTok. That's hideous. And then Isabel was completely mortified forever. I was like, I don't know how her friend saw that I was on TikTok. I have 1 follower, but it's fine. So I'm trying to learn. I'm learning about it. But we'll definitely do a session on that in the future because it's hugely important. And it's trying to usurp Instagram and definitely usurp Snapchat. I know Snapchat usage has gone way down in lieu of TikTok. But great points. Anything that you want to end with, Josh, before we wrap up? We're definitely going to do part 2. Oh, what about the walk in Orlando? It's coming up.
Yep, March 14th, we'll be in Altamont Springs, which is just outside of Orlando, for the Orlando Komen More Than Pink Walk. A much scaled-down version of this event, but same plan. I've got a 12-week calendar of content that we've been running up to it. And what's interesting, so our Facebook page, and we'll close on this, our Facebook page started as a South Florida page because we were Komen, South Florida, and then expanded to Komen, Florida. So our audience, especially from an organic standpoint, is very much located here in our 4-county region. We're now talking about doing an event that's 2.5 hours away. Mm-hmm. So as to not muddy down my organic Facebook page newsfeed, we are posting segmented location geo-specific posts to there. But the problem is the organic reach is really low there. So these posts are getting basically nothing. So
they're segmented.
They're segmented, but it's not the same sort of engagement that I should get because my audience is lower. So what I've been doing is focusing those posts. I'm still going to post them on our Facebook page segmented, but push all that content to the Facebook event itself. And what's nice is you can schedule posts in your Facebook event. So I've got 40.
We didn't even talk about using Facebook events.
No, we can talk about that next time on part 2.
Okay, I'm writing it down. Okay.
Because the Facebook event for our More Than Pink Walk.
Ooh, and LinkedIn events. I'm writing it down. Keep going.
The Facebook event for our More Than Pink Walk will be, and I've already seen it. So I had a post there yesterday. That one post in the event is getting more traction and more engagement than on the Facebook page itself. Because
people get a notification.
People getting the notification because they're either interested or going to that event, and they're already invested more because they're engaging with that event. So I know
it's the right people.
And so exactly, it's the right people. So
awesome. Oh, I can't believe we didn't even talk about Facebook events. Okay, we have a lot to talk about. We're gonna do a part 2, probably part 3, probably part 4. So
yes, Kristen, you can schedule posts in Facebook events. It'll make your life.
You can schedule posts in Facebook events. It is mind-blowing because I think that I just figured this out the other day too.
It's made my life so much easier. Like I said, I have 40 posts scheduled between now and March 14th in there, and I'm done. I don't have to worry about my social content from a creation standpoint. Yes, I will have additional posts. Yes, I will have Facebook Lives and things like that, but my calendar is set. Kristen is really, I think we just made Kristen's day.
Yay! And Jules, yes, you are in for a treat seeing Chris Strub at the Big Give. You're certainly in for a treat.
Yep.
I'm going to follow all of the socials for that because that should be really amazing. Like Chris is really incredible. So we're going to link to everything. We're going to follow up. I'm going to go through with a fine-tooth comb and see where I can add some more links to things. Yep. This is life-changing. Don't you love when you just find something that you can literally put into practice? I have such the curse of knowledge at this point that I forget that some of these things are really completely will change the workflow of people. But Josh, that's amazing. Thank you. Well, thanks. Thank you. I mean, thank you everyone that came here today. The Nonprofit Nerds. I don't know when we'll do our next one. I know you're like head down with the Orlando event. There's so much going on in February, but we'll be back as soon as we can.
We will.
If you're on my email list, that's how you're going to know. Follow me on Facebook. Go on to the event. Go on to the group, nonprofitsocialmedianerds.com.
Yep.
And if you are on my email list, I email right when we go live, like 5 minutes before we go live. So the best way is to get notified, or probably being in the group and being on my email list, and then you'll find out when we go live. So I'll put all the links in there, but nonprofitsocialmedianerds.com.
Do you have
thanks, Josh, for setting this up.
Any other exciting news that you have coming out here in the next couple weeks?
I have a lot of exciting news. So I am launching I'm decided that February would just be the time I would launch everything. So I'm launching my online course for social media managers on Thursday, which I'm taking deep breaths saying that. And then I'm launching my new book on February 12th. That's going to be out on Amazon on February 12th. So if you're on my email list, you're going to get all of the amazing information. But I just thought, I need more to do. No, I just thought February would be a great month. We're out of January. We're out of the doldrums. We're ready to hit the ground running. And finally, I have all my ducks in a row. So I'm really excited. So I have a lot of awesome stuff going on in February. So I'm excited.
Awesome. This is great. Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Nonprofit Nerds. Check us out, nonprofitsocialmedianerds.com. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.